Welcome once again to Jazz Lockdown, the programme that puts our regular panellists of Pete Long, Alan Barnes and Alex Garnett to the test. You are invited to donate as little as £1 towards each show, which will be equally divided between the contributors, with 50% of the total amount going to Macmillan Cancer Support, by following the PayPal link below. Chaired by Alyn Shipton, this episode's special guest is Simon Spillett.
Well, welcome to another edition of Jazz Lockdown. I'm very pleased to say for this special one in Series 3, we have a wonderful guest. We have Simon Spillett. Hello, Simon.
Yeah. Hello.
We also have our regular panellists. So we have Pete Long.
Hello.
We have Alex Garnett.
Hello there.
And we have Alan Barnes.
Hello, folks.
So I think we'll get straight down to the introductory round of questions. So, Simon, this is to get you in the mood. The other three will have a go first, and then you get the fourth of these introductory pairs of questions. So, Pete, we'll start with you. Which trombonist, better known for his new New Orleans music, replaced Tricky Sam in the Ellington Band and appears in Duke's 1947 film of The Perfume Suite?
Right.
And the clues in the new Orleans music.
Is it Wilbur de Parry?
It is. Wilbur de Paris. Well done. A man who was so mean he charged Doc Cheatham for every biscuit that he ate while he was staying with him.
That's mean.
Which Ellington vocalist briefly replaced Al Hibbler and would wreak havoc in the Rose in a well-known Cheshire city? And I've given you half the clue there.
Male singer replaced Al Hibbler.
Yep. He wasn't in the band for very long, probably because of his... Sorry?
Is it Ozzie Bailey?
No. Anybody? I did give you a very inadvertent clue there.
What was the inadvertent clue? What was the...
I'll give it to you again.
Cheshire City, was it?
It's Cheshire City with Rose in it.
Rose?
He's got the Rose.
Oh.
Very old city with the Roman amphitheatre.
York?
No, in Cheshire.
Oh, in Cheshire. Oh, that's where I come from, isn't it? Cheshire. Oh, yeah.
Is it Johnny Altrincham?
No.
That's me.
The name is... I just loved it. I had to put it in. It's Chester Crumpler.
Oh, Chester Crumpler. A real name.
Do you know
It's a real name.
the Tony Bennett Al Hibbler story? So we've got time for a little story?
Yeah,
Tony Bennett's doing a gig in Berlin. And he does, at that stage in his act, he'd do an Al Hibbler medley. And whenever Tony Bennett would pay reference to another great singer, he, like Frank Sinatra, for example, he'd get to the end of the song, he'd just sung Come Fly With Me or something, he'd go, Frank Sinatra! Frank Sinatra! And he gets to the end of the Al Hibbler medley in the Stadthalle in Berlin. And he's in there going, Al Hibbler! Al Hibbler! Oh, the horror of the gathered Bundes.
Yes. We'll move swiftly on to Alex, I think.
Okay.
So now, Alex, which American record company, when one of their stars was charged with drug offences, sent a testimonial to Europe saying, he's a very likeable fellow and of good character. His 8 LPs for us are very successful and have been selling all over the world?
What record company?
Yeah.
I don't actually know this one.
Drug offences, Paris?
I do.
Sorry. Oof. Yeah, no, Simon's going to be chomping at the bit here.
Simon?
No, I don't know. I'm going to say Blue Note, but it's probably wrong.
You're all right. It is
You're
Blue
right.
Note. It was Alfred Lyon writing a letter in support of Dexter Gordon, who was being hauled up before the Beak in Paris.
I know. It's funny because he didn't have his renaissance until he went to Europe and then came back, I guess, with Blue Note, really.
Yeah.
Actually, the way it was worded sounded like somebody whose English was the second language, doesn't it?
Which is true with Alfred Lyon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So now, Alex, your second question. In 2012, a very well-known saxophonist published his autobiography. His ghostwriter says in the preface, he's a combination of teacher, philosopher, lawyer, warrior, ultimate fighter. He fights for what he believes to be the right thing. He's got a multiple personality because he's a composer, a teacher, a superior organizer, a great band leader, and of course, a great instrumentalist.
My goodness. 2012.
It's going to be me or Alan, isn't it?
It's not...
I think it's your American counterpart.
Oh.
my American counterpart.
Any of yours.
Oh, blimey. Blimey. Is it Phil Woods?
No. Think of the International Association of the Schools of Jazz.
Oh, my gosh.
Which saxophonist is really plugged into that and has been for years?
Oh, Jerry Bergonzi?
No. It's... Anybody else know?
Is it Liebman?
Yeah, Dave Liebman. Well done. Bonus point.
Okay.
And his ghostwriter is Lewis Porter. A man who could have stuck to piano, in my view. Anyway. Alan.
Yes.
Pete's question concerned Wilbur de Paris. Which reed player, who can also be heard on bassoon with John Coltrane, played clarinet in Wilbur's new New Orleans jazz band alongside Doc Cheatham?
That would be the remarkably versatile Garvin Bushell.
Yes.
It would. Or, as he would have preferred it said, Bushell.
Oh.
Can we check on this before we go?
I'm his publisher. I did his life
Oh,
story.
well.
There you go.
Apparently, when he was recording, I think the track was India with the double bassoon, wasn't it? And when he was recording that, he would pop round the corner from working at Condon's, do his double bassoon bit with all the out there stuff, and then go back and carry on playing Someday Sweetheart.
Bonus point. Anybody know who he replaced with Wilbur de Paris's band?
Pee Wee Russell.
No.
Eddie Bearfield.
No. Somebody who wasn't no one.
Oh.
Jimmy Omar Simeon.
I'm a someone. Yes, exactly.
Oh, very good.
Wow, I'm a someone.
A Bruce Turner, wasn't it? Jimmy No One.
Yeah, Jimmy No One and I'm a someone. Alan, which clarinetist made some bird calls with Count Basie for V-Disc?
Oh, Christ.
It's a great record if you haven't heard it.
Wait, V-Disc. Right, so we're talking wartime.
Wartime.
And he's a what? A saxophonist?
He's a clarinetist.
Oh,
It's
clarinetist.
very unusual at that stage, before Buddy DeFranco, to find a clarinet feature in the band.
With Basie.
Just about to nip off to the Pacific.
Artie Shaw.
Yeah. Artie Shaw did bird calls. Simon.
I haven't heard it.
Which tenor saxophonist worked with Ralph Sharon, Kenny Baker, Jazz Today and Humph, ran a pub in the 60s and also worked in a supermarket?
Jimmy Skidmore.
Yep.
What a resume.
Now, if you followed Jazz Lockdown, Simon, you probably know this anyway, but which saxophonist was married to Primrose Oric, who'd worked with Roy Fox, Jack Hilton and Harry Parry?
Saxophonist. Married to who?
Primrose Oric.
And who had he worked for?
What?
Who had he worked for? Or worked with?
He worked for Roy Fox, Jack Hilton and Harry Parry.
No, I can't do that. I don't know that at all.
It's not our old friend Aubrey Franks, is it?
No,
Is it Harry Hayes again?
it is Harry Hayes.
Yeah.
Right, we now come to the old and new round, and I thought we'll do something today which we haven't done before, since all four of you specialise in reed instruments. This is a very reed special edition. So, Alan, starting with you, which alto player used a Vito LeBlanc Rational model, having earlier used a Boucher 400 and before that a Con 6M?
Is that me?
No, it's Alan.
Oh, is it? Johnny Hodges.
Johnny Hodges, that's right.
That was the hardest one. The question.
It's like somebody waking up the old retainer in the back of the golf club by the sunny window, wasn't it?
Right, Alan, where was the Grafton plastic or acrylic saxophone, as used by Bird and Ornette, made?
Now then, this is interesting, if only to me. But I used to play in a pub in Highgate, and there was a guy called Otto came in and said he'd designed that saxophone. He's a very elderly man, and I didn't believe him. He came back with the bloody plans one week. Now, he was German.
Yeah.
So, was it in Germany?
No, it was just round the corner from where you met him. It was London.
Highgate.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which I've given away the answer.
King's Cross.
Wasn't it Grafton Street?
Grafton Way.
That's it.
Yeah.
I think it was designed by Italian prisoners of war.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
that why it went backwards very quickly?
Yeah.
A retreat button instead of an octave key.
Yeah, right. If you want to play lead honour, it's the hooter for you.
It's Simon's turn now. So, according to a video recently put up by an organisation you've been fundraising for, the National Jazz Archive in Loughton, what's the most legendary saxophone ever made?
The most legendary saxophone ever made.
It's on the National Jazz Archive webpage. I just saw it yesterday.
Well, surely it's got to be the oldest surviving saxophone, hasn't it? I would have thought.
I think they're thinking of something that's used by a lot of people and has a very high...
Oh, Mark 6, Selma Mark 6.
Selma Mark 6. Well done.
Yeah.
And which British saxophonist endorsed the Grafton acrylic saxophone, playing it at the Royal Festival Hall just after the building opened in 1951?
John Dagworth.
Yep. Well done.
And Johnny Dagworth, of course.
Yeah, he was Johnny in those days. Hadn't been knighted quite.
Yeah.
Pete, which clarinet manufacturer's name suggests mountaineering in a high wind?
Buffett Crampon.
Absolutely right. Now,
Well done.
which gentleman who's named after a flower worked with Auguste Buffet to develop the Boehm system clarinet?
Oh, I don't know. So I'm going to say Kevin Rose.
No? Anybody else know?
Alex is your instrument manufacturing.
No.
It's a very French forename. He's called Hyacinthe Closet.
Close.
Oh, yes, I struggled with his publication.
So I didn't think that was a particularly easy one, so I've got you a bonus question here.
Okay.
Which Belgian inventor designed an alternative system of clarinet fingering and keywork?
Well, I imagine that would have been Adolf Sax.
One of his pupils.
Oh.
Oh.
Anybody know?
Audrey Hepburn. There's only 3 famous Belgians, so it must be Audrey Hepburn.
No. Anybody know? It's Eugene Albert, which is the Albert system.
The Albert system. Served me right for being glib.
Right, Alex. What brand of metal mouthpiece did Dexter Gordon use in his later years?
An
An Otto Link.
Yep.
He used to use a Hollywood Duke off.
He did, yeah.
Stolen along with his 10M. And
Yeah, it went missing on a flight, didn't it?
yeah, that's right.
And
There's
he bought Ben Webster's Mark 6, didn't he?
That's correct, yeah.
There you go.
Sorry, folks, we've only got another hour.
It's round. Right. Alex, your second one. Who designed the Michael Brecker tenor mouthpiece, some of which were gold-plated?
Oh, horrible. Dave Guardala.
Yep. Well done. Well, at present, at the beginning of, just before we get to Simon's solo round, we have Pete and Simon in joint second place and Alan and Alex in joint first place.
Ooh.
So now, Simon, this is your round. So you're competing against everybody else who's our guest on this particular set of 6 programs. You have 10 questions and the score to beat is 10.
Okay.
So let's see how you do. So where would you nip in for a nip or a dip where Nobby Pilcher gave evidence?
Nobby Pilcher, the famous London police inspector who nicked Tubby Hayes.
Yes, so where would you nip in for a nip or a dip where he gave evidence?
Oh, where he gave evidence. I'm going to say Marlborough Street Magistrates Court. Am I right?
You are right, and I'll give you the point. But do you know what it is now?
What?
It's the Courthouse Hotel, and it's opposite Liberties, and you can actually go and have a swim or a drink there, so a nip or a dip.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
It was a Marriott, but it's now just called the Courthouse. And if you reserve a private table in the bar, you are in fact in one of the cells.
Oh.
Again.
Is there a little blue pack on the table that corresponds to Tubby's cell?
Sadly not, but there is a thing
Saves the
outside.
journey.
There will be soon if Inspector Spillett has his way.
Yeah, I'm putting blue plaques everywhere, mate.
Well, there are quite a few other notable people who were incarcerated there. Anyway, let's move on. Simon, your second question. Whose arrangements were blown away in the voodoo sequence from Dr. Terror's House of Horrors?
Well, that's got to be Roy Castle playing the part of Biff Bailey, which I learned only recently was supposed to be played by Acker Bilk. and Acker had a heart attack, so they got Roy Castle at the last minute.
Anything to get him.
Acker said he had a heart attack.
Yeah.
He's seen his BBC.
You'd not want to be in it.
It's a great film.
Right. Simon, who got $7,000 in a Lincoln Continental for signing a one-year deal with Atlantic?
John Coltrane.
Absolutely right. Which New York club on Spring Street was owned by the Cantorinos?
The Half Note.
Yep. Which melody maker critic liked music that swung like a barn door?
Swung like a barn door. Would it be Bob Dorbarn?
Yep. Who said in his interview with Mr. Coltrane, "I find your music completely bewildering." That was his opening statement.
Yeah.
Which melody maker critic was known as the Boswell of bebop?
Would it be the Boswell of bebop? Right. So...
He was always talking jazz.
Oh, Max Jones. That was a really... Alan, that was a terrible flag you gave me there. You actually virtually gave that away.
Well, it's a very good book. I'll do anything to publicise that book. Where was Dopey Dick's Jazz House?
It was at West Hampstead. I can't remember the name of the pub. The railway at West Hampstead.
Yeah, and can you just illuminate for everybody? There's no point in this, but why it was called that?
Dopey Dick. Well, it was run by a guy called Dick Jordan, whose nickname was Dopey Dick. He actually wrote an autobiography, which is one of the slimmest volumes in jazz. If you've got a spare 4 minutes, it's a fascinating read.
I look forward to it. Which Croydon club where Tubby Hayes played might be suitable for a chap with a sombrero?
Oh, it's called the Tropicana.
Yep.
Am I right?
Yeah, you are.
And it opened in 1967. There's a fantastic interview with Tubby in a local newspaper where he has a real go at Ronnie Scott for not booking him. And that was one of the nicest things that I found for the book, because it was evidence that I'd always suspected they had slightly fractious relationships. So there it was in black and white. The Tropicana, they used to book... It was generally bands that they booked, Rendell Carr, Tubby's Quartet, whoever's bands were around. It didn't last very long, probably a couple of years at most. I don't even know whereabouts in Croydon it was. Plong, do you know where it was?
No, I haven't got a clue. It's probably down in West Croydon where the cartoon is now, but I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
It'd be a likely spot for it.
Anyway, I thought
It's all lovely, isn't it, Croydon? All nice.
We ought to have a Croydon question, I thought, just to make us all feel at home. Right. Simon, 2 more to go. Which Shetland-born bassist worked with Tubby alongside Mick Pine and Tony Levin?
Ron Matheson.
And finally, with whom did Tubby Hayes' recording career get started?
With Kenny Baker, July 1951.
And what was the track?
Started.
Yeah,
and on the B-side, for those of you interested in minutiae, I stick with it. I Only Have Eyes for You, I believe, was the B-side of that Parlophone 78.
Excellent. Well, you have scored a 10 out of 10, which puts you in equal first place in the solo round.
Splendid.
Right. Well, we've now got to that round, which is called Just a Lockdown.
Oh.
So each of you has to talk for 1 minute without hesitation, deviation or repetition on a subject which I will give you in a moment. I've just got to make sure that for some reason my stopwatch has gone on to alarm. I hope that's not a premonition. So, Pete, would you like to kick us off with talking for 1 minute on a sticking G-sharp key? So if you'd like to start now.
On the full selection of the recently released Tubby Hayes album Grits, Beans and Greens, there is one track which revolves around the fact that Tubby's G-sharp sticks. And indeed, we are privileged to hear the aforementioned saxophonist swear quite loudly in a way that every saxophone player understands, in the exasperated way of building to an emotional climax, only to have your beloved Selma Mark VI, in this case, let you down at the last moment, thus giving you a chordal extension unintended in the original curve of the improvisation, and possibly...
Right.
Brilliant, I'd say, Pete.
Who got in first? Sorry.
I think there was a soprano there somewhere, wasn't
I
it?
think it was the soprano read. So, Alan, if you'd like to pick up, please. You have got 16 seconds starting now.
It can be a problem, a sticking G-sharp key. I remember on one night at the 100 Club, which I recounted quite recently to Alex Garnett, after a night with his dad playing with Stan Gregg's Boogie Band, we drank so much beer that...
Well done.
Did all the keys stick down?
Every single one. Oh, sorry.
Right, Alex, it's going to be your sticky turn next. So could you talk for a minute, please, same terms, on the subject of stage lights that get in your eyes? I see you're very appropriately dressed for this particular topic today. So if you'd like to do that, starting now.
I think that one of the great attributes of playing in a club is its lighting. It can really create a mood and thus transform the gig from something rather ordinary into a performance that can be considered quite incredible. The lighting really does change the feel and the mood, and in some sort of ways can evoke a different feeling in the musician during the performance.
Did we have repetition of mood?
I think we did, actually. There was a mood right at the beginning.
It's interesting to see how dependent on the light show you are. I had no idea. It's great.
Look how glamorous he is. Look at that showbiz smile.
Things have obviously changed. So that's
It's horrible when the ugly lights come on at the end of a gig. It really is telling, you know.
Yeah, well, you can do that when you get to that bit of the subject. Right, Pete, if you could carry on, please. You have 31 seconds, starting now.
As my learned colleague, Mr. Garnett, says, the lighting is crucial to set the mood for the performance. However, everything is on a sliding scale, and like most things in life, it is a balance, because as the lights shine on you, they can shine in your eye.
Double shine.
Yeah,
Yes,
double
you're absolutely
shine.
right. Double shine.
I think Alan got that repetition just before Alex. So let's move on. We've got 14 seconds, Alan, starting now.
I remember doing a gig with Ken Poplawski one time, and the lights were particularly strong. And he started off the performance by saying, "Hello, folks. Welcome to the human rotisserie. My left side is done, and I'm going to turn around to ensure a proper crispy skin all around me so that you'll be able to..."
Well done.
Excellent for a good story as well, I'd say.
I was so interested in the Poplawski rotisserie. Right,
True. It is true.
Alan, it's your turn now. You're taking us back to the age of vinyl. Could you talk for 60 seconds on the topic of wow and flutter, starting now?
Wow and flutter are an interesting subject, especially if you don't actually know what they are. I find that talking about the wow, well, it's known as the wow factor, isn't it? When you put a... Oh my God.
Alex, I think you might just have got in with something there.
I don't think anyone wanted to intervene, Alan. We were just enjoying the
Floundering, waiting for 3 seconds to go and then leaping in mercilessly.
I'm a merciless
Hovering
goal,
like vultures we were.
the goal hanging.
So,
Someone
would you like to talk a little about wow and flutter, starting now?
The recording produced can be adversely affected by a couple of factors known as wow and flutter. These are very dependent upon the medium that the aforesaid...
Pete,
That was too much of an that was a deviation.
Yeah. Right.
I realised I was going to repeat myself and shot myself in the
Pete, let's have some wow and flutter from you, starting now, please.
If my memory serves me right, Wow and Flutter were a pair of old Compton Street solicitors who used to often hire out their services for people's various legal needs when they were in trouble. Unlike the Wow and Flutter of modern recording, the Wow and Flutter of legal representation had a multifarious and varied career in jazz. Oh, thank God for that.
Was it not deviation?
No, I think you can make up a story, can't you?
I think that
Jermaine
was
for the scene.
a classic piece of, if it goes back to the early days of a well-known parlour game, that was a classic Derek Nimmo.
Was it?
Yeah.
I mean, nobody knows what Wow and Flutter are, Alan.
What?
We're
Come on,
old. That's
Alan,
in-person stuff,
fluffy.
gramophones. We're not going to know about that.
I've got loads of vinyl on these shelves behind me here. And if my strobe, if the strobe isn't working at the right speed on my Technics deck, that's what you get.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that.
So I don't have one at the moment because I'm not using actual cash anymore at the moment. But normally I have an old halfpenny piece in my pocket, and that is what you put on the playing arm in the BBC Studio 7A. And
Is that your fee?
Sorry?
Is that your fee?
I was going to say, should we have a whip round and get him a penny?
My fee's a fraction of that, I can tell you. But it just does stop a bit of fluttering and wowing. Right, Simon.
This whole minute there, Alan. Give yourself a point.
Yeah.
Simon, it's your subject now, and I would like you to talk for 1 minute without any of those three impediments on the subject of couriers, starting now.
Couriers. The Jazz Couriers, the famous two-tenor-led quintet formed in spring 1957 by Ronnie Scott and Tubby Hayes. The title for this lineup was derived from the band's influence by the Jazz Messengers, led...
I think that was a dead heat between all three of you, so who'd like to pick it up? Alex, go on.
Come on, Alex.
I'll take it over for a few seconds.
So, Alex, here you go. Couriers, starting now.
I believe that the Jazz Couriers were one of the most profound groups ever to be produced in the UK jazz scene. Incredibly modern, well ahead of its time, and a tricksy combination of two gladiatorial tenor saxophones at the helm, as my learned friend said before, the amazing Tubby Hayes and Ronnie Scott. They were, of course, amongst the finest in the world, globally recognized. In fact, Ronnie Scott himself was one of the few.
Repetition of Ronnie.
Yeah. And Scott. And actually, much, much earlier than nobody spotted it, repetition of jazz, because we had the Jazz Couriers and jazz saxophonists.
Yes!
It was just brilliant, wasn't it?
Jazz is written.
I saw the corner of Alan's mouth going up there thinking, we got away with it.
Yeah, too much jazz in the show. You get jazz out.
Yeah, can't have that. Right. So, Pete, we have 4 seconds starting...
Oh!
4 seconds.
The Jazz Couriers were a fantastic quintet straddling the styles of Jimmy Lally and hard bebop.
Right, correct.
Correct and controversial all at the same time.
Yes.
Well, that's what we like.
Oh, it was
Crazy arrangement of guys and dolls.
Exactly.
Well, now we've got what's the intro. I almost forgot
right.
what's the intro. So this should be an interesting one. I think, Pete, we're going to start with you. I hope the sound quality is all right with this. You've got 14 seconds of this, and if, with any luck, you can find either, well, it'd be nice to know which band it is and what piece they're playing. So here we go, 14 seconds of this.
Right, is it an arrangement of Night in Tunisia?
No, that's what you're supposed to think, but that's what it's not.
And the band, well, it's not Ellington, it's not Gillespie's band. I'm thinking it's one of the post-war big bands.
Is, but not perhaps where you might think it is.
It's not Ted Heath, is it?
It is Ted Heath.
Yeah.
Well done.
No.
Well done, Pete.
Yeah.
I'm going to play you the next bit and you can tell what the piece is, but you got the point for Ted Heath. So it is...
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, from Listen to My Music, Volume 5.
But like with Ted Heath playing that in dance halls, you can see how the Jazz Couriers would have worked as a dance outfit if people's ears were acclimatised to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Right,
No.
now this one is difficult. If you don't know this record, it might be tough, Pete, but let's have a quick crack at it. You're going to get 7 seconds of introduction on this.
Blimey.
It's familiar.
If you know it, you know it. It's just one of those...
No, I don't think I do know that one.
Anybody else know?
Is it Dizzy Gillespie, Bongo Bop, something?
No, it's not. I'll give you a bit more of it. You'll know the piece then, but...
Caravan, yeah.
Anybody know who that was?
It's not Harry James, is it?
No, it's Lou Donaldson from his album Wailing.
Oh.
Good Lord.
Nautical theme.
Right, Simon. Oh, yeah, this one's for you. See how you do with this one. You've got 9 seconds of intro coming here.
Oh, come on. It's You for Me, Tubby Hayes, Tubbs in New York.
Yep. And see if you can get this one. You're going to get a slightly longer segment of this.
Right.
About 10 seconds. See if this one rings any bells.
Is it Ronnie Scott?
No.
Oh. No, I can't get that at all.
Anybody else just from that intro? It's again, it's one of those things, if you know it, you know it.
It's not Victor Feldman, is it?
No, I'm going to play you a bit more of it. And
Yeah, it's that's Dexter, isn't it?
no,
No.
Dexter's on it.
Oh, it's Wayne Shorter. It's from the Round Midnight album.
It is.
And it's Wayne Shorter, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the Peacocks. Jimmy Rolls the Peacocks with Herbie Hancock piano and Wayne Shorter.
Right, okay.
I once did a gig where I called the Peacocks and the bass player was called Pete Cox. How about that? And he kept saying, yeah, that's right, Pete Cox. And I'm saying, no, let's play the Peacocks. Anyway.
On which note, Alan, it's your turn. So
Oh,
you
okay.
get 15 seconds of this.
Ooh.
Blimey, that sounds like the Francie Bolan Big Band.
It's not.
No, but I know it sounds like it though. Is it a British big band?
It is.
Okay. So, is it Tubby Hayes Big Band?
No.
Oh, I don't know then.
Anybody else know?
Is it Dagworth's big band?
No.
Is it the Ronnie Stevenson?
No, it's not.
Right instrument, wrong player.
Yeah.
Right instruments.
Jack Parnell?
No.
Hang on. Can we hear a bit more?
Alan Ganley.
No, I'm going to play you a bit more.
That's perky, isn't it?
British.
Tony Kinsey.
Yep, you're right, Alan. It's Tony Kinsey and it's Henley Ho from the Thames Suite.
Henley Ho.
Yes, she was.
Mr. on PC again.
Right. Alan, you've got 10 seconds of this one coming up. See if you can get this one.
Blimey, that sounded like Fats Waller.
No.
Teddy Wilson.
No.
Oh, God.
Think about the clarinet player.
Yes, he sounded very good.
He's not bad.
Is it Benny Goodman?
It is Benny Goodman, only he was using the name of Shoeless John Jackson at the time.
Ah. Does that mean I still get it right?
I think you get the point for the Benny Goodman, but he was not leading the band.
Okay, is it a Ben Pollock track?
It isn't, so I'm going to play you the next little bit just as a clue. So somebody doing a great Teddy Wilson impression on World is Waiting for
Yes,
Some...
Stacey.
No.
Oh, Johnny Guarneri.
You run through them all except this particular perspective.
Kyle.
No, it was Mel Powell.
Oh,
Right. Who haven't we had yet? Oh, Alex, it's your turn. Right. See if you can see how you get on with this one. You're going to get quite a long introduction here. You're going to get 20 seconds of it.
Uh-oh. That's forbidden. Oh.
Yes, Alex, it's you.
Oh my goodness! I actually, I have strict limitations on the soprano, but
And we all.
is it?
good for just a minute rounds.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm gonna. Is it Tubby Hayes on soprano?
No, it isn't. Anybody else know?
Yeah, Lucky Thompson.
It is Lucky Thompson. Well done, Simon.
Well, Alan got it as well.
I wouldn't have got that.
Well, Simon got in there first, so Simon gets that point. And this is your last one, Alex. So
Let's go for
you're
it.
just going to get 12 seconds of this. Just see if you can work out who, what, why, where, all that stuff. The kind of thing we've all been listening to during lockdown, at least some of us have.
Yeah, is it Stan Tracy's band? Is it?
No, it is European, but it's not Stan's.
It's European.
It's a European big band.
Oh, is it the? Oh. Is it the Francie Bolan band?
No, I'm going to play you a bit more of it, and you might work out who the star performer is.
Is that Clark Terry?
No.
I'm miles away.
Anybody know the soloist?
Dusko Gojkovic, is it?
No. It's The Last Great Concert by Chet Baker. Recorded at the German radio big band about a few weeks before he jumped out of a window.
Wow.
Well,
Sounds thoroughly modern.
Yeah.
Well, it was much more modern than some of the things he did. That's true. Right. We have now got to the quickfire round. So where we are at the beginning of this round, we have Simon and Alex again, still tied. We have Pete just 1 point behind Alan. So let's see where we go in the final round. So starting now, and just jump for these, no squeaks or tings or poops or whatever. Horace Silver referred his tune Home Cooking to his love of greens and grits. Who wrote a tune called Grits, Greens and Beans?
Tony
Cool, I think you all got that simultaneously. So I'll give you all a point. There you go.
oh,
Right. Now 83 years old, Lewis Hayes released his first recording under his own name in 1960. Alongside Nat Adderley on that record, who was the other horn player?
Hannibal Adderley.
Nope.
Julian Priester.
Nope.
Jimmy Heath.
Nope.
Yusuf Lateef.
Yes.
whoa.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It was it on VJ Records? Is that the one?
I don't know what it was on, to be honest.
I think I know that record.
Point off for the chair then.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one I got for talking uninterruptedly about some piece of nonsense or other. Right. Converting to Islam in 1950, what was Lateef's birth name?
Bill Evans.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I heard that simultaneously from about 3 of the 4 of you. So points going to those 3. Right. Floyd Huddleston was an American songwriter, amongst other things. Which tune from the film The Aristocats did he pen?
Everybody Wants to Be a Cat.
Yep, well done. Right. The Cats was an album recorded in 1959, credited to all the lead musicians involved: John Coltrane, Tommy Flanagan, Kenny Burrell, and which trumpeter?
Idris Suleiman.
Right. Well done. In
It's
1947...
hard to say that quick, you know.
Yeah. In 1947, Suleiman recorded on which pianist's first Blue Note tape?
Monk. Bud Powell.
No, Simon was right there. It was Thelonious Monk. Monk is the second most recorded jazz composer after which other American artist?
Duke Ellington.
Yeah, Pete. In there with Duke Ellington. Ellington's extended piece, A Rhapsody of Negro Life, was written for which short film in 1935?
Oh, what's it called? Is it Something in Harlem?
It's something in something, but otherwise...
Reminiscing in tempo.
Sorry?
Not reminiscing in tempo.
No. It's Symphony in Black. Receiving an Academy Award, which female vocalist was in that film?
Adelaide Hall.
No.
Ivy Anderson.
No.
Lena Horne.
No. According to my erstwhile...
She received the Academy Award, or did the film receive?
I believe that she received the Academy Award.
Oh, okay, right.
Abby Lincoln? No.
No. According to the person hiding in the corner behind the pink thing, it's Billie Holiday.
Wow.
What relationship was Sadie Fagan to Billie Holiday?
Mother.
Yep, well done. British jazz writer and photographer wrote an article in Jazzwise called My Mother, Her Kitchen Table and Jazz.
Val Wilmer.
Yeah, who said that first?
Val Wilmer.
Simon.
Yeah, I think it was Simon first. Right. Which Australian Wilmer worked on the Johnny Carson show and toured with Duke Ellington?
That's Velma Middleton.
Danny Moss?
An Australian Wilmer.
Bob Wilmer. Oh, no.
No.
Val Wilmer.
It goes back to Chester Crumpling. It's one of those names of somebody who wasn't there for very long.
Harry.
No, Wilmer Redding.
Oh.
Which club in Reading operates in a converted church?
South Hill Park? No.
No, that's Bracknell.
Oh, I've been there.
Converted church.
Apparently.
Yeah, it is.
Don't know.
Reading Jazz Club, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's the name of the premises we're after.
Is it the Crypt or something?
No, it's the Progress.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
that really a church? It felt like a church when I played there.
They weren't very reverential, though.
Yeah, every Ken Collier gig felt like that. Who released an album in 2019 on digital download called Work in Progress? Saxophonist.
Ooh.
Is he a British saxophonist?
Yep.
Okay. Work in progress.
It's not our mate Julian, is it?
No. Bit older than that.
Longer than that.
Bit older and a bit freer than that.
Work in progress.
Yeah.
It's not. No.
Trevor Watts.
Same generation.
Evan Parker?
Yeah, Evan Parker.
Oh,
Well done, good guess.
There's
Yeah,
now
I know.
room for an album, isn't there, called No Work at All in Progress.
Do you remember that Dewey Redman album called The Struggle Continues?
Yes.
Oh, that was a good title.
Yeah.
A great Eddie Harris one called The Reason I'm Still Talking. You know, have you seen that? It's a great cover, man.
Sequel to Freedom Jazz Dance, obviously. Right. Now, noted mostly as a solo performer, in which 30-piece orchestra did Evan Parker find himself in 1986?
Charlie Watts.
Yep, well done.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How many 30 people?
Apart from Bill Lesage, who was the other vibes player in that band?
Jim Lawless.
Yep, well done. Lawless appeared on the bass player's album called Zurich Express. Who was the bass player?
Spike Heatley.
Yep, well done. For the first year after the opening of Ronnie Scott's Club, in whose house trio did Spike perform?
Eddie Thompson.
Eddie Thompson.
Yeah, Simon got that first.
Yes.
Thompson studied at the same children's blind school as which other pianist?
George Shearing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who played drums in Shearing's first quintet in 1949
Norman Burns.
What?
Norman Burns.
After he moved to the States?
Denzel Best.
Yeah, Denzel Best. What forced Best into temporary retirement in 1953?
Heart attack.
Into car crash.
Car crash is right.
After which he had a heart attack.
He had a car accident and fractured both legs. Which Texan tenorist spent his later years...
Arnett Cobb.
Yeah, well done. In 1942, who did Cobb replace in Lionel...
Illinois Jacko.
Yeah.
Simon was there just before you, Pete, there. Jacket was 19 when he recorded which hit tune with point for everybody there. Which country has an airline, talking of flying, called Jazz Aviation?
Thailand.
No.
Germany?
No.
Is it a trick question? Is there no airline called Jazz Aviation?
No, there is one.
Out of business now if there is.
Would you fly
America, USA.
Just
Nice
also,
big picture of Susan May on the tail.
it's Canada.
Is it Canada?
Canada.
In 1984, which Canadian city appeared in the Guinness Book of World Records for the biggest jazz festival in the world?
Toronto.
Vancouver. Ottawa.
Ontario.
Quebec.
It's
Montreux.
It's in the Quebec. Montreal.
Montreal. Oh, I said Montreal.
Montreal as opposed to Montreux.
Perfectly, yes. Elocuted
Bloody
there.
sat nav.
Right. They had 250,000 people at that festival that year, 1984. Not bad. What's the average attendance of the EFG London Jazz Festival?
3.
100,000.
What?
100,000.
Average attendance of each gig, do you mean?
Yeah. No. Well, attendance at each gig would be about 12. But
Are you talking about attendance by actual jazz fans?
How do they measure that?
that's a difficult one.
How do they measure it?
20.
No idea.
Have we got an answer yet?
Well, the answer I've been given by our august collaborator here is 10,000, but that can't be right because 3 Barbican concerts would see that off. So I think it's 100,000, which the well-known typo, which Alex got. So I've given Alex the point, which brings us to the end of this competition. And we have Pete in 4th place with 11 points. We have Alex in 3rd place with 13 points. We have Alyn in 2nd place with 17 points. And we have the first ever guest winner with Simon with 19 points.
Thank you.
The natural order of things is rent asunder.
Yeah.
What can this possibly mean?
Now I know why the milkman was late the Tuesday before last and the pool of blood in the back garden. Now it all makes sense. Oh no! Run, everybody, run!
Anyway, congratulations, Simon. Great to have you with us. Come and be locked down again at some point.
It's been great. Really good.
Well done, Simon.
And thanks to Pete, to Alex,
Bye.
and to Alyn.
See you later.
Thanks from me, Alyn. Thanks to all of you as well for donating to the various causes. So Macmillan Cancer Research has definitely benefited from those of you who subscribe, and all the rest of you for watching. Thanks very much, and we'll be back soon with yet more Jazz Lockdown.
That was Jazz Lockdown, a series of programs devised by Clark Tracy and presented by Alyn Shipton, with Pete Long, Alan Barnes and Alex Garnett, with special guest Simon Spillett. You are invited to donate as little as £1 towards each show, which will be equally divided between its contributors, with 50% of the total amount going to Macmillan Cancer Support, by following the PayPal link below. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to your company next time.